Undercover owner buys fried chicken at his own diner, stops cold when he hears two cashiers. Nathan Cole pulled his worn navy hoodie lower over his face as he stepped through the doors of Spencer's diner. His diner. Tonight, though, nobody was supposed to know that. The familiar smell of frying oil and coffee wrapped around him like an old friend, but Nathan forced himself to look around with the curious eyes of a first-time visitor. The diner's midnight fluorescent glow cast everything in a harsh light that seemed to expose every crack in the vinyl booths, every smudge on the laminate tables. "Just one?" asked the hostess. Darcy, he remembered, though he pretended not to know. "Yeah, counter's fine," Nathan replied, affecting a slight southern accent he'd practiced in the car. He slid onto a stool at the far end of the counter, keeping his face angled away from the security camera in the corner. The night shift was thin, Darcy wandering between tables, Lena and Bryce working the registers up front, and the faint clanging from the kitchen suggesting that Hector was on grill duty. Nathan unfolded the plastic menu he knew by heart, and pretended to study it while watching the staff in his peripheral vision. Something wasn't right at Spencer's, and hadn't been for months. Profit margins were shrinking despite steady business. Inventory numbers didn't add up. Strange, technical issues kept popping up in their point-of-sale system. Nathan had gone through standard channels, questioning managers, reviewing processes, and found nothing concrete. Just shrugs, excuses, and problem-solving that never quite solved the problems. So tonight Nathan Cole became Nick, a traveling IT consultant passing through town. A server he didn't recognize approached. "Know what you want?" "Fried chicken combo, extra gravy," Nathan ordered, deliberately choosing something that would take time to prepare. "And coffee black." As the server wandered off, Nathan pulled out his phone and hunched over it like any other solo diner, but his attention remained on Lena and Bryce at the front registers. Both were in their early 20s. Lena had worked at Spencer's for nearly 3 years, Bryce for about 8 months. Both had seemed like decent employees on paper. The coffee arrived, and Nathan nodded his thanks, taking a slow sip while keeping his ears tuned to the conversation happening at the front counter. "Quinn's got everything lined up," Bryce was saying, his voice low but carrying in the near-empty diner. "Just waiting on the final sign-off." Lena laughed, a short, sharp sound. "I still can't believe we're actually doing this." "Well, the place will go down in flames soon anyway," Bryce replied with a smirk. "Might as well cash in while we can." Nathan's hand tightened around his coffee mug. A coincidence of phrasing, perhaps? But something in their tones sent a chill through him. "Friday at midnight," Lena whispered, her voice dropping further. "I already told my mom I'm crashing at your place after shift so she won't expect me home." "Smart," Bryce nodded. "Once it's done, we're in the clear. 2 weeks on the beach sound good to you?" They broke apart as a customer approached the register, their expressions shifting seamlessly from conspiratorial to professional. Nathan's food arrived, but his appetite had vanished. He forced himself to take a few bites of the chicken, which was overcooked and dry, another sign of the declining standards that had prompted his undercover visit in the first place. His mind raced. "Down in flames" could be a figure of speech, but paired with the specific timeline, Friday at midnight, and plans to be elsewhere afterward? It sounded like Lena and Bryce were planning something destructive. But what exactly? And who was Quinn? The name was familiar. Quinn Porter, he realized with a jolt. One of the assistant managers Nathan had promoted just last year. As Nathan pushed his food around, he overheard more fragments as the pair returned to their hushed conversation. "Just need to disable the cameras. Quinn says the backdoor alarm is easy to. Insurance will cover everything anyway." Each snippet confirmed his worst fears. This wasn't just employee theft or time clock fraud. They were planning something big, something destructive, and they were counting on insurance to cover their tracks. When Darcy came by to check on him, Nathan smiled and complained mildly about heartburn, a convenient excuse for his barely touched meal. "First time here?" she asked. "Yeah, just passing through." Nathan glanced around the diner as if taking it in. "Nice place, though. Been around long?" Almost 30 years, Darcy said with a hint of pride. Owners hardly ever here anymore, though. Some corporate guy who took over from old man Spencer a few years back. The irony wasn't lost on Nathan. He'd been working 60-hour weeks trying to keep Spencer's afloat, while maintaining the community atmosphere that Ed Spencer had cultivated. He didn't realize his own staff thought he was an absentee corporate suit. Shame, Nathan murmured. Places like this need hands-on leadership. Darcy shrugged. We manage. Anything else I can get you? Nathan declined and paid his bill in cash, leaving a generous tip. As he stood to leave, he caught another exchange between Lena and Bryce. Hope that hoodie guy isn't a regular, Bryce muttered. Won't be coming back after Friday anyway. Lena snickered. Nobody's coming back after Friday. Nathan pushed through the door into the cool night air, his mind whirling. He'd come to Spencer's tonight hoping to catch someone skimming from the register or giving away free meals. Instead, he'd uncovered what sounded like a plot to burn down his diner, possibly for insurance money. As he slid into his car, Nathan realized he couldn't go to the police yet, not without more evidence. All he had were snippets of an ambiguous conversation. And if he revealed himself now, the conspirators might simply accelerate their timeline. No, he needed more information. He needed to understand the full scope of what they were planning and who else was involved. He needed to catch them red-handed. Nathan started his car but didn't immediately drive away. Through the diner's large windows, he could see Lena and Bryce still at the counter, laughing together, completely unaware that their boss had just overheard their plans. Friday at midnight, Nathan muttered to himself, making a note in his phone. He had 4 days to save Spencer's diner, not just from fire, but from the rot that had clearly taken hold from within. He would be back tomorrow night. Same disguise, same order. But this time, he'd be ready to dig deeper. Nathan returned to Spencer's diner the next evening, same hoodie, same hunched posture. This time, he arrived earlier, 8:17 p.m., to catch the shift change. He slid into a corner booth with a clear view of the kitchen entrance and registers. Back again? Darcy asked, surprise evident in her voice. Food's decent, Nathan lied, adding his practiced drawl. I'm in town for the week on a job. Might as well find a regular spot. Well, welcome to Spencer's. What blog did you say you write for? Nathan hadn't mentioned any blog, but seized the opportunity. Road Trip Eats. Nothing fancy, just documenting diners across the country. The fabrication came easily, giving him a perfect cover for asking questions. While waiting for his burger, Nathan watched Quinn Porter arrive for the closing manager's shift. Quinn was 35, clean-cut, with an MBA that had impressed Nathan during his interview. Now Nathan observed how the man's eyes darted around the diner, how his smile never quite reached those eyes when greeting staff. Quinn disappeared into the back office, Nathan's office, without acknowledging most of the employees. 10 minutes later, Lena arrived, followed shortly by Bryce. Nathan didn't miss the subtle nod Quinn gave them both. Time to test the waters. When his food arrived, Nathan flagged down Darcy. Mind if I ask a few questions for my blog? I like featuring the people behind the counter, not just the food. Darcy shrugged. Sure, but Hector's the real character around here. Been cooking since the place opened. She called toward the kitchen, and a heavy-set man in his 60s poked his head through the order window. This guy's writing about the diner for his blog, Darcy explained. Hector wiped his hands and came around, suspicious at first but warming up as Nathan asked about the diner's history. Old man Spencer ran a tight ship, Hector said, nostalgia softening his voice. Place ain't the same since the new owner took over. Numbers guy, not a people guy. Sounds rough, Nathan prompted, swallowing his pride. Boss barely shows his face, and when he does, it's just to check numbers. Meanwhile, stuff walks out the back door every night. Walks out? Hector lowered his voice. Inventory keeps coming up short. Whole cases of meat, gallons of oil. And Quinn's always doing these weird late-night inventory runs. I'll come in the next morning, find the order sheets don't match what's actually there. A piece clicked into place for Nathan. He noticed the inventory discrepancies in the books, but couldn't track the source. Security cameras don't catch anything? Nathan asked. Hector snorted. System's been glitchy for months. Quinn says it's not in the budget to replace it. After Hector returned to the kitchen, Nathan nursed his coffee, making notes on his phone as if writing blog content. Instead, he was remotely accessing the diner's computer system, checking archived orders and security logs. Sure enough, someone had been placing supply orders that never made it to inventory counts. Small discrepancies, spread across multiple vendors, easy to miss individually, devastating when tallied up. The security system showed mysterious after-hours, maintenance, outages, all authorized by Quinn's access code. Around 10 p.m., a young man in dishwasher's clothes emerged from the kitchen, heading for a smoke break. Nathan followed him outside. Mind if I bum one? Nathan asked, though he hadn't smoked in years. The dishwasher, Jalen, according to his name tag, offered the pack with a raised eyebrow. Rough day? Something like that. Nathan lit the cigarette, controlling his cough. You worked here long? 8 months. Just making cash for college. Seem like decent people? Jalen took a long drag. Mostly. Some sketchy stuff lately. Bryce keeps asking me to sign for deliveries when I'm not even on shift. He looked away. I think he's faking receiving slips. Why would he do that? Jalen shrugged. No idea. But there's weird stuff going down. Last week, found a box of receipt paper in the dumpster, barely used. When I mentioned it to Quinn, he got all twitchy, told me to mind my own business. Nathan's suspicions crystallized. Someone was skimming supplies, falsifying orders, and manipulating the books. The Friday at midnight plan was likely the culmination. Torch the diner, destroy the evidence, collect insurance. Classic fraud scheme, with his business as the sacrifice. Back inside, Nathan watched Lena slip into the manager's office where Quinn was working. Through the office window, he saw Quinn hand her something that she quickly tucked into her pocket. When she emerged, she whispered to Bryce, who grinned and made a subtle fist pump. For the next 2 hours, Nathan played the part of the blogger, chatting with customers, snapping photos of his food, all while observing. He caught Bryce making a call in the back hallway. Everything's ready for Friday, yeah, all the codes are changed. Nobody will know until it's too late. By midnight, Nathan had filled his phone with notes and evidence, but also with dread. This wasn't a small-time theft. This was organized, methodical, and potentially deadly if the fire spread to neighboring businesses. As Nathan paid his bill, Marie, the day shift cashier staying late to close out registers, studied him. You really a food blogger? She asked quietly. Nathan froze. What makes you ask? Bloggers take pictures of their food, not the security cameras and exit signs. Her eyes were sharp, evaluating. And you keep watching Quinn and the night crew like you're taking inventory. Nathan started to formulate a denial, but something in Marie's expression stopped him. Some of us have noticed things going missing, she continued. Bryce and Lena suddenly have new cars. Quinn's always changing security protocols. She slid a napkin across the counter with her number scrawled on it. If you're investigating, I want to help. Nathan took the napkin, realizing he might have found his first ally. I'll be in touch, he said simply. As he left, he heard Lena's voice from the kitchen. 3 more days until payday. 3 days until Friday. 3 days to uncover the full plan and stop it. And now Nathan suspected the rot went deeper than just 3 employees. He needed to find out who else was involved, and how high up the conspiracy went. Nathan sat in his car 2 blocks from Spencer's diner, scrolling through the data he'd pulled from the restaurant's systems. The night's discoveries had left him with a sick feeling in his stomach that had nothing to do with the mediocre burger he'd forced down. He dialed Marie's number. I figured you'd call, she answered without preamble. Who are you really? Someone who cares about Spencer's, Nathan replied carefully. Tell me what you've noticed. Marie didn't hesitate. Quinn started about a year ago. Charming, efficient. Then 4 months in, things changed. He hired his own people, Bryce, Lena, 2 delivery guys. Started changing protocols, limiting access to financial systems. What about inventory issues? Started small. A few steaks here, a case of liquor there. Then bigger things went missing. When I mentioned it, Quinn suggested I was miscounting. Her voice hardened. I've been working registers for 15 years. I don't miscount. After hanging up, Nathan made another call, this one to his old friend at the bank that handled Spencer's accounts. Dave, I need a favor off the record. Can you pull recent wire transfers from Spencer's business accounts? The results came an hour later. For 6 months, small amounts had been siphoned to an LLC Nathan had never heard of, Midnight Provisions Group. By dawn, Nathan had uncovered more than he'd bargained for. Quinn hadn't just been stealing inventory, he'd established a shadow company, using Spencer's diner as both supplier and cash cow. Sleep-deprived but determined, Nathan donned a different disguise, glasses, baseball cap, casual business attire, and headed to the address listed for Midnight Provisions Group. It led to a nondescript office in a strip mall, its windows covered with paper. Through a gap, Nathan glimpsed stacks of restaurant supplies, Spencer's supplies, and a whiteboard with a timeline scrawled across it. Friday's date was circled in red with one word beside it. Extraction. Nathan's phone buzzed with a text from Marie. Quinn called emergency staff meeting. 4 p.m. today. Slipping back to his car, Nathan pulled up property records for Midnight Provisions Group. The LLC had been established 8 months ago, with Quinn Porter as managing director, and Nathan's blood ran cold, Nathan's own signature on the registration paperwork. Forged, obviously, but convincing enough to implicate Nathan if the scheme fell apart. Nathan switched to traffic camera footage he'd requested from a police contact, focusing on the alley behind Spencer's during suspicious inventory discrepancies. Sure enough, at 2:17 a.m. on multiple dates, the diner's delivery van pulled around back. Quinn and sometimes Bryce loaded boxes while a third man, Vince, another night manager Nathan had hired on Quinn's recommendation, kept watch. It's not just theft, Nathan muttered to himself. It's a full extraction operation. He pulled up Spencer's insurance policy. 6 months ago, Quinn had recommended an update to their coverage, which Nathan had approved, increasing fire and disaster insurance by 300%. At the time, it had seemed prudent. Now, it looked like premeditation. Nathan needed more concrete proof. He returned to Spencer's for the afternoon shift, this time positioning himself at a table near the staff meeting room. With a small recording device in his pocket, he pretended to work on a laptop while Quinn addressed the assembled staff. As you know, we're having some challenges with equipment, Quinn explained smoothly. The main circuit panel is showing issues, so we've scheduled emergency maintenance this Friday. The diner will close at 11 p.m. instead of the usual midnight. Staff nodded, unconcerned. But Nathan noticed the significant looks between Quinn, Bryce, and Lena. Also, Quinn continued, inventory audit is postponed until next Monday. Corporate decision. Another lie. Nathan had ordered no such postponement. After the meeting, Nathan slipped into the back hallway, where he overheard Quinn speaking with someone on the phone. Everything's proceeding as planned. Yes, Friday at midnight. The fire will look like an electrical failure. Insurance payout conservatively at $2 million. Nathan Cole will take the fall for negligence while we're on our way to Belize. The final piece clicked into place. This was no simple insurance scam. This was grand theft, arson, and framing Nathan for the entire operation. Quinn had systematically built a paper trail implicating Nathan in the theft while establishing a separate business that would survive the diner's destruction. Nathan retreated to his car and made a call to the only person he could fully trust, Ed Spencer, the diner's original owner and Nathan's mentor. Ed, I need your help. Spencer's is in trouble. The old man's voice was gruff but alert. What kind of trouble? The kind that involves arson, theft, And my name on forged documents. 30 minutes later, they met at Ed's fishing cabin by the lake. As Nathan laid out the evidence, Ed's weathered face grew darker. Always thought Quinn was too slick, Ed muttered. But this is elaborate, even for a con man. He's built an entire shadow operation. The question is why, Nathan said. Why not just steal and leave? Why burn the place down? Ed picked up the insurance papers. Because this way, he gets it all. The inventory he's already stolen, the insurance payout he's structured to go partially through his shell company, and a clean break with you taking the blame. Nathan rubbed his temples. I can't go to the police yet. The paper trail leads back to me. And if I confront Quinn directly, he'll accelerate the timeline, Ed finished. Or worse. I need to catch them in the act, with witnesses they can't control. You need a team, Ed corrected. People you can trust. Nathan thought of Marie's sharp eyes, Hector's loyalty to the diner, and Jalen's attention to detail. I think I know where to start. What's your plan? Nathan stared at the wall calendar, Friday's date seeming to pulse with menace. We're going to let them think their plan is working, right up until the moment it falls apart. Nathan spent Thursday morning carefully selecting his team. With only 36 hours until Quinn's midnight extraction, he needed people who were observant, loyal, and, most importantly, had no connection to Quinn's inner circle. Marie was his first recruit. They met at a coffee shop 3 miles from Spencer's. I knew something was off, she said after Nathan revealed his identity. But arson? That's beyond what I imagined. Quinn's been playing a long game, Nathan explained. He's been positioning me to take the fall while he walks away with insurance money and stolen inventory. Marie's eyes hardened. I've worked at Spencer's for 8 years. My kids grew up eating those pancakes. I'm in. Next was Hector. The veteran cook had seen owners come and go, but his loyalty remained with the diner itself. Nathan found him at the farmer's market, selecting produce for the day's specials. Boss? Hector's eyes widened when Nathan approached him. What's with the glasses and hat? Nathan guided him to a quiet corner. I need your help, Hector. Spencer's is in danger. After explaining the situation, Hector nodded grimly. I always check the fryers 3 times before leaving. Last week, Quinn told me to stop, said it was wasting time. Now I understand why. Jalen, the sharp-eyed dishwasher, was harder to convince. So you've been pretending to be some food blogger while spying on us? He asked, skepticism evident in his voice. I was investigating discrepancies, Nathan corrected. If I'd shown up as myself, Quinn would have hidden everything. Jalen considered this. Last month, Quinn asked me to help upgrade the security system. I'm studying IT, so it made sense. But he only wanted cameras installed in certain areas, with blind spots by the back storage areas. Will you help us stop him? Jalen folded his arms. What's in it for me? Nathan hadn't expected this question. Besides saving the diner from arson? Look, I need this job, but college isn't paying for itself. Nathan thought quickly. Help me save Spencer's, and I'll establish a scholarship program for employees pursuing higher education. You'll be the first recipient. Jalen's expression softened. For real? You'd do that? Spencer's should invest in its people. That's something I've neglected. By Thursday afternoon, Nathan had assembled his core team at Ed's fishing cabin. Rosa, the taciturn head cook with 30 years of restaurant experience, rounded out the group. Though not scheduled for Friday's shift, she had volunteered immediately when Hector called her. That boy thinks he can burn down my kitchen? Rosa cracked her knuckles. Not while I'm breathing. Nathan spread blueprints of the diner across Ed's kitchen table. Quinn's plan depends on 3 things: disabling the security system, starting a fire that looks accidental, and having their stolen goods safely off-site. The fryers, Rosa said immediately. Easiest way to start a kitchen fire is to mess with the fryers. Grease fires burn hot and spread fast. And the security system runs through this panel. Jalen pointed to the blueprint. Quinn's had me reroute some of the wiring, supposedly for upgrades. But he could easily cut the whole system from there. What's our play? Marie asked. Call the police? Nathan shook his head. Not yet. We don't have enough concrete evidence, and Quinn has documents with my forged signature. We need to catch them in the act. Ed, who had been silently listening, spoke up. You need to be there when it happens, but Quinn can't know you're onto him. Exactly, Nathan agreed. We'll set up our own surveillance, independent from the diner's system. Jalen, can you handle that? Jalen nodded confidently. I can install wireless cameras Quinn won't detect. Rosa and Hector will create a fake inventory, empty boxes and containers that look like valuable stock. We'll make sure Quinn's team targets those instead of actual supplies. What about the fire risk? Marie asked. I've spoken with Fire Marshal Rodriguez, without revealing everything, Nathan explained. He's arranging for a routine inspection tomorrow afternoon and will ensure all suppression systems are functioning correctly. He'll also have a truck coincidentally doing training exercises nearby at midnight. And me? Marie asked. You're our eyes at the front of house. Keep track of who comes and goes. If Quinn suspects anything, you'll be our early warning system. The team spent hours refining their plan. Jalen installed dummy cameras where Quinn would expect them while hiding the real ones in air vents and behind fixtures. Rosa prepared decoy inventory with tracking devices hidden inside. Ed made calls to his old restaurant contacts, arranging for backup if needed. As evening approached, Nathan gathered his team for final instructions. Tomorrow, act normal. Don't give Quinn any reason to suspect we're onto him. Marie, you'll close the registers as usual but ensure the safe contains marked bills we can trace. Jalen, make sure the real security system is running on the backup circuit Quinn doesn't know about. Rosa and Hector, prepare the kitchen as if for a normal Saturday, but secure the actual valuable equipment. What about you, boss? Hector asked. I'll be there as Nick one more time, Nathan said. Just another customer who stays late. Quinn doesn't know what I really look like. He's only met me as Nathan Cole, always in business attire. The hoodie and glasses have worked so far. And if things go wrong? Rosa voiced the concern they all shared. Nathan placed a burner phone on the table. Emergency speed dial. One button connects to Ed, who will be parked outside. Another to Fire Marshal Rodriguez. A third to my police contact. But if we do this right, Quinn and his crew will walk right into our trap. As they departed, each heading to their regular shifts to maintain appearances, Ed pulled Nathan aside. You know this is dangerous, right? Quinn's desperate and has a lot to lose. Nathan nodded grimly. So do I, Ed. So do I. Just remember what I taught you, Ed said, squeezing Nathan's shoulder. A restaurant isn't just a building or a business. It's a community. And your community's got your back. Nathan checked his watch. 24 hours until midnight. 24 hours to save Spencer's, and his own reputation. Friday evening arrived with a strange electricity in the air. Spencer's diner hummed with the usual Friday dinner rush, but Nathan, seated in his now usual corner booth with his hoodie pulled low, felt the undercurrent of tension beneath the normalcy. At 10:45 p.m., Quinn made his announcement. Folks, due to electrical issues, we'll be closing at 11 tonight instead of midnight. Sorry for any inconvenience. The remaining customers finished up and filtered out. Nathan pretended to be engrossed in his laptop, nursing a coffee. When Darcy approached to tell him they were closing, Marie intercepted her. I'll handle this table, Darcy. You can head home. Once Darcy left, Marie gave Nathan a subtle nod. Phase 1 complete, reducing civilian presence. At 11:15, Quinn gathered the closing staff, Lena, Bryce, and 2 kitchen workers Nathan didn't recognize, in the dining area. Good work tonight, everyone. I'll finish closing up. You can all head out early. You sure, boss? Bryce asked, his performance unconvincing to Nathan's now trained ear. Absolutely. Enjoy your Friday night. Hector and Jalen, who'd been scheduled for closing, feigned reluctance but eventually left through the front door, only to circle around to the designated surveillance position behind the diner. By 11:30, the diner appeared empty except for Quinn, who locked the front door and pulled the blinds. Nathan slipped into the men's restroom, where Rosa had left a maintenance closet unlocked, connecting to a storage area with a view of the kitchen. At 11:42, Nathan's earpiece crackled with Jalen's voice. "They're here. Black van, no plates, 3 people." Through a small vent, Nathan watched Quinn disable the security system, the decoy one, and unlock the back door. Bryce and Lena entered, followed by Vince and a muscular man Nathan didn't recognize. "Alarms are down," Quinn announced, sounding triumphant. "We've got exactly 42 minutes before the automated system attempts a reset." "Everything ready in the kitchen?" the unknown man asked. "All set, Mitch," Quinn replied. "Fryers are prepped to overflow. Once they ignite, the fire suppression system has been disabled. By the time anyone responds, the place will be gone." Nathan's blood ran cold at hearing the confirmation so casually stated. "Let's load up the premium stuff first," Quinn directed. "Mitch, you and Vince take the liquor and meat from the walk-in. Bryce, get the electronics from the office. Lena, empty the safe." "What about the surveillance footage?" Lena asked. Quinn smirked. "Already handled. System's been recording on a loop since Tuesday. When investigators check, they'll see Nathan Cole making late-night visits, taking inventory. Our friend in accounting has bank records showing he's been embezzling for months. The perfect fall guy." Bryce laughed. As they dispersed to their tasks, Nathan touched his earpiece. "Everyone in position?" 4 confirmations came through. "Execute on my mark." Nathan watched as the thieves began gathering their haul, the decoy inventory Rosa had prepared. Quinn entered the office, emerging with a stack of financial records, while Mitch and Vince loaded boxes into the van. At 11:52, Quinn approached the kitchen area. "Time for the finale." That was Nathan's cue. "No," he whispered into his earpiece. The diner's lights suddenly blazed to full brightness. Quinn froze, looking frantically at the control panel. "Security system breach," came an automated voice, Jalen's pre-recorded message, over the diner's PA system. "Authorities have been notified." "What the hell?" Mitch shouted. "You said the system was down." Quinn jabbed at the control panel. "It was. This isn't. Looking for this?" Nathan emerged from his hiding place, holding up a circuit board. "The real security bypass?" Quinn's face strained of color. "Who the hell are you?" At that moment, the rest of Nathan's team appeared, Rosa and Hector from the kitchen, Marie from the front entrance, and Jalen through the back door, accompanied by Ed. "You know," Nathan said, pulling off his hoodie and glasses. "For someone who's been setting me up for months, you really should recognize your boss." The shock on Quinn's face was worth all the sleepless nights of investigation. "Nathan Cole." Nathan introduced himself properly. "Owner of Spencer's Diner." "This is a mistake," Quinn stammered, recovering quickly. "We were conducting an inventory." "At midnight? After disabling the fire suppression system?" Nathan approached the fryers Quinn had tampered with. "After setting these to start a grease fire?" Mitch made a break for the door, but found himself face to face with Fire Marshal Rodriguez and 2 police officers. "Fire code inspection," Rodriguez announced calmly. "Seems we have multiple violations in progress." Lena dropped the bag of cash she'd been holding. Bryce looked desperately for an escape route, but Ed blocked the back exit, arms folded across his chest. "This won't stick," Quinn snarled, his charm evaporating. "You've got nothing but circumstantial." "We have your conversation on tape," Nathan interrupted. "Your plans for arson, insurance fraud, and framing me. We have the forged documents linking me to Midnight Provisions Group, nice touch, by the way. And we've been tracking your supply thefts for weeks." Quinn's eyes darted around the room, calculating. It would have worked. This place was failing anyway. The insurance payout would have been worth 10 times the business value. That's where you're wrong, Nathan said. Spencer's isn't just a balance sheet. It's people. It's community. As the police cuffed the conspirators, Quinn fixed Nathan with a venomous glare. You were too soft to run this place anyway. Always worried about tradition, about people. Business is numbers, Cole. Nothing more. Nathan watched as Quinn was led away. That's where you made your mistake. You saw a diner. I see a legacy. After the police departed with the culprits and evidence, Nathan gathered his team in the now quiet diner. Thank you, he said simply. All of you. Spencer's isn't just mine, it's ours. Rosa punched his arm lightly. Took a conspiracy to make you realize that? For the first time in days, Nathan laughed. Sometimes the owner is the last to know what's cooking in his own kitchen. 3 weeks after the midnight showdown, Spencer's diner was busier than it had been in years. The local newspaper had run a front-page story about the foiled arson plot, complete with interviews from staff members who had helped save the establishment. What could have been a disaster had instead become a compelling story of community loyalty. Nathan stood at the entrance, watching the lunch rush with a newfound appreciation. The near loss of Spencer's had transformed his perspective entirely. Table for 4 just opened up, Marie called, now wearing the manager's pin on her collar. Her promotion had been Nathan's first decision after the dust settled. Thanks, Nathan replied, guiding a waiting family to their seats. He'd been working the floor regularly since reopening, a practice Quinn had dismissed as beneath an owner's position. In the kitchen, Rosa commanded her domain with renewed authority. The police investigation had revealed that Quinn had been threatening to replace her with a younger, cheaper chef, despite her 30 years of experience. Now, she had been named head of kitchen operations with the freedom to mentor new cooks. Order up for table 7, she called, sliding plates across the counter where Hector added final garnishes. The 2 veterans had developed a new menu that honored Spencer's classics while introducing fresher options. Behind the scenes, bigger changes were taking place. Nathan had established the Spencer's Education Fund, with Jalen as its first recipient. The young dishwasher now split his time between IT classes and upgrading the diner's systems. Security update is complete, Jalen reported, closing his laptop as Nathan passed. New cameras are online, and I've added redundant backups for all systems. Perfect. And the employee access codes? Everyone has their own now. No more shared passwords. Nathan nodded appreciatively. How's the app coming along? Launch next week. Customers can place pickup orders, earn loyalty points, even see what local ingredients we're using. The technological improvements were just one aspect of Spencer's transformation. The biggest change was philosophical. In his office, door now always open, Nathan reviewed the new organizational chart with Ed Spencer, who had come out of retirement to serve as an advisor. Profit sharing for all full-timers, Nathan explained. Quarterly bonuses based on both performance and tenure. Healthcare for anyone working at least 25 hours a week. Ed whistled. That'll cut into margins. Initially, Nathan agreed. But turnover was costing us more than we realized. Quinn was cycling through staff to keep people from noticing his scheme, but he convinced me it was normal industry attrition. Speaking of Quinn, Ed said, what's the latest? Nathan handed him a letter from the district attorney. Plea deal. Quinn, Bryce, and Lena are all testifying against the supplier who was fencing the stolen goods. Turns out our little scam was part of a bigger operation targeting independent restaurants across 3 states. And Midnight Provisions Group? Asset forfeiture. Everything's been recovered, plus the insurance company is thrilled they didn't have to pay out for arson. The bell above the door chimed as a group of business students entered. Nathan checked his watch, right on time. That's my cue, he said, straightening his tie. No hoodie today. The students settled into the diner's largest booth, notebooks ready. Nathan had been invited to guest lecture at the local business college, but had counteroffered. Bring the class to Spencer's instead. Welcome to Spencer's Business Ethics Field Study, Nathan began. 3 weeks ago, this diner was nearly destroyed by corporate fraud. Today, I'd like to show you how we're building something different. For the next hour, Nathan walked the students through Spencer's transformation, highlighting both the financial structures and community values that guided his decisions. The exit plan Quinn designed was brilliant on paper. Nathan explained. Extract maximum value, destroy the evidence, collect insurance, and disappear. Classic business school case study in how to strip assets. He gestured to the bustling diner around them. But he missed something fundamental. A business isn't just assets on a balance sheet. It's a living ecosystem of people, relationships, and trust. When you violate that trust, you might profit short-term, but you lose something much more valuable. As the students departed, a young woman approached Nathan. I worked for a restaurant chain that did something similar, not arson, but the systematic theft and employee mistreatment. I reported it and got fired. Your story gives me hope. We're always hiring, Nathan replied with a smile. And we've started a network of ethical restaurant owners to push for industry reforms. Maybe your experience could help others. That evening, after closing, Nathan gathered the staff for their now weekly meeting. Unlike Quinn's top-down briefings, these were open forums where everyone spoke freely about challenges and ideas. Before we start, Nathan announced, I've got news. Spencer's has been nominated for the Chamber of Commerce Small Business Ethics Award. Applause erupted, but Nathan raised his hand. The real achievement isn't the nomination. It's that we've increased profits by 12% since reopening. How is that possible? Jalen asked. With all the new benefits and higher wages? Turns out, Nathan said, when people aren't stealing from you and you're not constantly training new staff, efficiency improves dramatically. As the meeting continued, Nathan glanced at the framed photo now hanging by the entrance, the original Spencer's Diner from 1985, with Ed standing proudly out front. Beside it hung a new photo, the current staff, gathered together the day after the midnight showdown. The diner had nearly burned. Instead, it had been forged stronger. And the midnight shift, once Quinn's domain of shadows and secrets, now shone with new purpose as Spencer's signature late-night breakfast service, served with transparency, fairness, and a side of trust.